Every day, people confess things online that they've never told another soul. Some are accidents, and some are just choices that they can't take back. Today, we're getting into some of the most haunting confessions Reddit has to offer. Let me know down in the comments what you think of this video. Your feedback will shape where the series goes next. Subscribe if you're not already, and let's get into them. Alright, the title of the first story is Killed Someone, Told Nobody. Throwaway account for obvious reasons, and I'm pretty drunk right now too, so please take that into account. Luckily, there is autocorrect on the Reddit website, so I won't look like a total idiot, except for what I'm about to describe. I've actually told two people what has happened. The first person was a pastor from a church I don't frequently go to, and the other was a chaplain who does reach outs to civilians from one of the military facilities I work near. Not gonna mention which, but I've never actually told this to anyone else, and I feel empty and want outside input, not just someone who will tell me everything is gonna be okay and that I was acting in self-preservation, blah blah. I want honest input, so I kind of want to reach out here for some of that. This happened a few months back, and if you look into the police reports, I don't even know how you would do that. You'll have hopefully a hard time figuring out when and who it was. I went out one of the mornings I was off work to grab some beer from the local brewery. They make amazing amber lagers, and I was having a good time of it that day. It was around 10:30 a.m. and when I left, I saw this weird dude talking on his cell phone in a Jeep, looking at me like I didn't have pants or something. Anyways, I left and thought it was weird. I get back to my apartment complex like 20 minutes later, beer in tow, and this guy was at my front door. He didn't seem to be paying attention to me, and as I approached, I could see he was trying to break in. He had this metal shank looking thing and was punching my doorknob with it. Anyways, whatever he was doing was not normal, and I freaked out. What else to do? Should I have called the cops? I know, and I look back on that situation now thinking about what I could have done differently almost every day, it seems. My door is 2 stairs up from the concrete walkway, and when I pulled him, he lost balance and I basically ended up throwing him to the ground. His head hit the concrete and fell unconscious, or at the time, that's what I thought was unconscious, at least. I freaked out and went inside. I sat in my chair in the living room freaking out about what had happened. I didn't really know what was going on, and for some reason, I kept thinking about how weird it was that my beer was on the ground outside and was going to get warm. I have no idea why that was my main focus, but it kept coming back to my mind over and over. Anyways, about a half hour later, I went outside my door, and since nobody else was around, I grabbed my beer and drove away to escape the situation. I honestly was hoping that the guy would wake up and leave and it'd never be an issue. When I drove away, I could see some blood on the ground, but I didn't look too closely. He was still laying there though. I came back several hours later, and when he was still there, I called the police. They sent out an ambulance and like 4 cops showed up. I gave them a report, and someone, I don't remember who, I wasn't paying attention, took the body away. To this day, I don't know how to feel about it. I can't help but feeling like I'm a monster for not telling people, but I was also trying to protect myself and my wife. I've not even told her about it, and she was in the basement the whole time, playing games or something. What should I do? Who do I talk about this? Should I turn myself in? Is it already too late? This one's just messy because I don't think he did anything wrong. He really was just looking out for himself. And the guy was clearly breaking into his house. I think if he had really done something wrong, he would have already been in trouble. But, you know, it sucks that he's living with that guilt. He should definitely speak with a therapist or something. The next story's title is I am responsible for the deaths of several people. Around 4 years ago, I was a vendor on the dark net. It was a relatively short-lived thing. I was just doing it because I was too lazy to get a job, and at the time, didn't want to settle for the whole 9-to-5 thing. I wanted to start my own business and use the drug money as a startup. I had been using myself for years. Along with that, I met lots of people in the dealing scene and eventually started dealing myself. I have a lot of anxiety though, so I hated meeting up with people in parking lots, and I definitely didn't want anyone to know where I lived. That's when I read about the Silk Road and Ross Ulbricht being caught. Got obsessed with the idea of it, got obsessed with learning OPSEC, all with the goal of eventually using my connections to start up my store. Well, after a couple months, I did. I started my store with 3 drugs: ketamine, meth, and some outdoor weed my buddy was getting for super cheap. All was going good for a few months. Had a couple thousand get stolen in an exit scam, but I had about $25,000 saved at that point, so it didn't ruin my life like a few vendors I knew of. Eventually, I met a local connect that came into my town only once a week, but had fucking anything I wanted: mescaline, LSD, mushrooms, PCP even, and fentanyl. At the time, people weren't really cutting heroin with fentanyl. I mean, I'm sure people did plenty, but it was not nearly as commonplace as now. People just did fentanyl, and still do. I put all my addresses into an Excel spreadsheet along with their name, zip code, order, along with the amount. At the time, I was selling some super white powdered mescaline. The fentanyl was also a white powder. Very similar consistency. Long story short, my Excel fucked up, or I fucked up, and about 7 people's mescaline orders were filled in as fentanyl orders. They all went out. I didn't notice and kept doing my thing for a few days. After about 5 days, someone contacted me and told me their friend died from my mescaline. I immediately called bullshit and went to check my order log and scale up how much I had of my mescaline left. Well, I had about 11 grams more than I should have. I still don't know how the fuck it could have happened. I wasn't a user, but I was definitely high off of dabs. I went to check my order log on the market to see if anyone had finalized on their purchase, and a couple of them were, but none from a specific day, including the person that messaged me. No one that had purchased mescaline that day had finalized their orders. The market I was on also had a feature to see the users' last activity, and none of them had logged in at least 3 days, most 2 days. I immediately deactivated my vendor account. I didn't even need confirmation. I knew what happened. I knew I just killed several people. I sold the rest of my drugs, converted my Bitcoin to cash, and moved the fuck away. Didn't speak to anyone for weeks. Found a job in a restaurant, living in a city I always wanted to. I haven't touched drugs since that day. I haven't had anything to do with that life since then. I still think about them every night. I saved their names and Googled them a few days later. I was able to find info on 4 customers that definitely died. 1 customer shared it with a friend. They both died. I don't know why I'm even posting this, mainly because I have no one to tell, and even if I did, I don't think I could. I spend my days sober, clocking in to work, clocking out of work, coming home, playing video games. I'm a complete recluse. People I used to know have distanced themselves immensely, and I know it's because I'm a shell of my former self. I can't help it. Could I even tell a therapist about this? I don't feel like I deserve to be alive. Am I really living anyway? I don't even know anymore. Maybe this will help me feel better. Well, I think that speaking to a therapist is definitely necessary for this story as well. It sucks that his system or whatever messed up, fucked up, and those people had to suffer because of that mistake. I'm glad he distanced himself from that life, and I hope he's doing better now. This next story is titled, I sold myself for money and I feel like I'm going to throw up. Throwaway account. My mom and I struggle with money right now, and low-key, my mama ain't been doing too well in general. I recently quit my job and it was so fucking stupid of me, but I had my reasons. I underestimated how hard it was to actually get a new job, and it felt like getting my first job was just pure luck. So anyways, no job, and I had a little bit of savings, but I'm young, so didn't have a lot at all. Well, of course, I ran out of money, which sucks balls, and so I decided to suck some balls. Sorry, not the time for jokes, but if I don't laugh right now, I'm gonna cry. I've done it 4 times now. It's high-key scary. Didn't know the men that well, but got paid a ridiculous amount of money for it. I feel so fucking disgusted with myself. Like, before y'all come at me in the comments, I know it was my decision, and I know people find other ways around this, but at the time, it's just low-key the fastest, easiest way. I don't even like it. It hurts like hell, and I'm not attracted to men in general. I'm just genuinely disappointed in myself, and I hate how stupidly easy it is. I know people in the comments are gonna say, like, look into benefits and shit, and trust me, I have. We are on some, but it gets a little dodgy when it comes to qualifying for stuff. That's besides the point. I'm gonna be better. I know this is not how I want to start my life, and I'm still trying very hard to get a job. I'm starting to tear up like a pussy right now, so I'm gonna leave it at that. I just want my life to be normal again, and I just don't want my mom, and I just want my mom right now. I know how that sounds stupid, but I'm so done with this life. I don't even have any friends right now. How pathetic I gotta be, bro. Anyways, that's my confession. I'm trying to be better. One of the commenters is saying, man, that is a heavy load to carry alone. You did what you felt you needed to survive, and there's no shame in that, even if it feels wrong right now. The disgust you feel is your brain telling you this is not the path you want, but it does not make you a bad person. I completely agree with this comment. This is exactly how I felt. This person clearly cares about their mother a lot, and I hope that things get better for the poster. This next story is titled, I paralyzed my little brother while pulling a prank. When I was 11 and my younger brother was 9, I passed to the dark side. We used to regularly prank each other and the rest of our family. Most of the time, it was harmless, like removing the light bulb from a closet and then jumping out to scare the person who came inside. We had a pretty good one where we would take all of the chocolate chip cookies out of their container and switch them with oatmeal raisin. Haha. There was one instance, though, that I crossed the line. I had just seen Home Alone, and I loved the idea of having this really extensive and detailed plans for a trap. I spent a week or two trying to come up with my own crazy plans, most of which were impossible because they involved some sort of catapult. But I did come up with one that I thought was ingenious, and I wanted to use it on my little brother. So while my brother was outside playing, I decided to set my trap. It started with me pouring shampoo and some water in a bucket. Then I took a whole bunch of glue and feathers and poured them all over the shower curtain in the bathroom. I removed the light bulb in the bathroom. Then I took the bucket of shampoo water and dumped it on the floor. My plan was to have my brother come into the bathroom, slip across the floor, and then either fall onto or grab the shower curtains for support. He would then be stuck to the shower curtain and be stuck with a feather cape. It was really stupid, and I was an idiot. Well, it worked. He came into the bathroom, slid across the floor, and hit into the shower curtain. Only he didn't stop slipping. He slipped and hit the base of his neck on the edge of the bathtub. I don't remember much immediately after that. I think I blacked out. That was 15 years ago. My brother still can't walk. He's stuck in a wheelchair. He has almost no movement from the neck down. He can barely talk, and it is a struggle to get out 1 or 2 words. For me, the worst part is that he can still control his facial expressions pretty well. I apologize to him every day for years. I still do it fairly often now. He always has this look. He smiles and says, "It's okay." He smiles with his mouth, but not his eyes. I've seen him smile for real, but I can see the resentment in his eyes. I'm the worst person alive. I'm an idiot. That story was just a hard read all around. He clearly didn't have any bad intentions, and he was just trying to prank his brother. Anyone who has siblings knows exactly what that's like, I'm pretty sure. I can't imagine what living with that kind of guilt for 15 years is like. His little brother, which was 9 when it happened, is now 24, and I know he's aware of what he took away from him, like the normal kind of life that he took away from his brother, just from a prank he thought wouldn't go that far. But yeah, just a sad story. Let's get on to the next one. Alright, this last story is titled, I killed a man in front of his wife and family. Forgive me for any misspellings or format. I'm trying to do this on my phone. I haven't talked about this to anyone, even though it's been years. Even my closest of friends, minus the ones that were there. One night, when I was in college, I was driving to get some liquor for a party my fraternity was supposed to throw the following night. I was taking a street I was very familiar with to get back to my house. It was dark, but the street was lit with street lamps. I remember that I had looked at my radio for a second, just a second, not very long at all. But when I looked back up to the road, there was a man crossing. I didn't have any time to react. By the time I saw him, he had already hit the hood of my car and bounced off to the side. I remember screaming and hitting the brakes, and the wash of horror of what had just happened. I'll admit, I had thought about speeding away, but I pulled over to the side and ran out of my car to check on this guy. When I got to him, his family was standing outside the restaurant he was leaving, and they were all screaming and crying. He was laying on the side of the road with blood coming out of his nose and mouth. 2 other men were standing with him trying to see if he was alright and calling 911. All I could say was, I didn't see him. I was frantic by the time it had set in what I had done. I sat on the curb across from the family and listened to their crying in agony while we waited for the paramedics to arrive. I sat there and sobbed while 2 paramedics took him away in an ambulance. I don't believe I've ever cried so hard and for so long. The worst part about all of it, and what still kills me today, was that his wife came over to me while I was distraught on that curb, sat next to me, placed her hand on my shoulder and said, I was married to him for almost 50 years. We had a good life. Then she hugged me and said that she forgave me. After everything was said and done, it was ruled that it was an accident. I wasn't charged with anything, and I had one of my friends pick me up from the police station. I went down a dark path the years after that. I drank heavily, dropped out of college in my senior year, and had to move back in with my mother and father because I couldn't hold on to a job. Even tried to kill myself with pills. It was a hard road to recovery, which I feel I'm not fully recovered from, nor do I feel I will ever be the same. But eventually, I got my life back in order, joined up with the Navy, and saw a bit of the world. And now, I'm on track to go back to college and hopefully finish what I started there. It took almost a decade, but I finally start to feel almost whole again. I'm back to hanging with my friends and actually going out. So maybe there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Alright, that's gonna wrap it up for today's video. If any of these hit you in a certain way, please let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed the video as much as I enjoyed recording it, just leave a like and take care.